Then I'm going to talk about health for about 30 minutes, and we'll bring the quiches out of the oven. And guess what's going to be served in the organic kitchen at Peggy's Whole Foods tomorrow, by the way. But okay, let's hit it. First thing we want to do is get these eggs. I like a fine wired wisp. Now watch these steps. The secret is in the steps. I'm going to put a little bit of egg, my friends, not much, and it's going to be for the sole purpose of getting the egg coating on the shell. Now let me tell you, these shells have already been cooked a little bit because I like a real crispy, crunchy shell. Now this is going to also stick the bacon, and this is turkey bacon, by the way. This is not pork bacon, this is a turkey bacon. The great thing about a quiche is you can put anything in them you want if you just don't overwhelm it with any one given topping ingredient. Okay, here we go. We got our bacon, right? Now watch this. Just a little more egg, not much. Now I don't put any milk, half and half, or cream or anything, water. I don't use any liquid. This is pure egg. And I whipped up 23 eggs. That's 23 eggs right there. Depending on the size of egg you're going to do. Okay, this is a very important part. You're going to think, well, there's not going to be any egg mixed into this quiche, because look at how much spinach I'm getting ready to put into it. Is this crazy or what? And this is fresh spinach. You can use frozen spinach also. Frozen spinach will work. Now look, this was an entire bowl full of spinach, right? An entire bowl full of fresh spinach. It's like I'm going to cram this spinach in here. I'm not playing. I'm cramming it. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of Vidalia sweet onion. Hello. Just a little bit, not much. Sprinkle that on there. And my seasoning, I'll be right back. Well, my seasoning is gone. Okay, atypically I would put seasoning, but my seasoning cup moved. And, oh, a little bit, just a little bit of provolone. I'm going to use provolone. You can use sharp cheddar. You can use any kind of cheese you like, but this is a little bit of provolone. Okay, watch closely. Here we go. What egg does when you cook egg like this, egg first protrudes down. So don't worry about trying to mix the egg with the spinach as you put it down, because the egg is going to work itself down, and then it's going to blow up. After it goes down, it comes up. Now remember, I said we're doing 23 eggs right here. So, 23, 24 eggs. All right. Here's one of my favorite parts, my friends. You not want your tomatoes thick. That's very important. And I'm going to do just a little bit of mushroom. Got a little bit of portobello going on here. Mushroom on the top. And I've got some slivers of Vidalia onion. I like to cook with sweet onion, personally. It's a preference, right? You might want to cook with Spanish onion, hot onion. I like Vidalia. And we're going to put just a little bit of black olives on top of this. If you'll notice, I'm not overwhelming with anything. Just a whole lot of some different ingredients in there. The spinach, as far as the vegetable goes, there's more spinach than anything else. Okay, I'm gonna finish this dude off with just a light sprinkle of cheese, of the provolone. And I've got my son Ryan, who's he's the other master chef around this place. And he's going to be sliding them into the oven for the next 30 minutes. Kabam! When those things are finished, they're going to be incredible. They'll be done in about 30 minutes. And guess what? We're going to go talk about collagen and skin and arthritis and joints. And let's hit it. My coffee. Thank you. Thank you, Kat. All right. All righty. I want to talk about collagen today, and those quiches are going to be cooking for about the next half an hour. Now, let me explain one thing to you on the quiches that I pre-cooked, just so you know. I pre-cooked those shells a little bit and got some of the moisture out of them. I'll have a better, crunchier crust by doing so. The other thing I did is on the turkey bacon is I didn't really cook it through, but I put it on the grill. I got the moisture out of the turkey bacon. So I wanted to get some of that moisture out of there. There's going to be a lot of moisture in that quiche with all that fresh spinach. And that's very important. And I use the egg to stick each layer together, and I'm relying on the egg swelling to penetrate and go into the spinach, which it will. Let's talk about collagen and in the skin, in the tendons, the ligaments, the joints, your shoulders, your knees, your elbows, your wrists. Let's talk about collagen and what we can do about inflammation and pain, whether it would be osteoarthritis, different types of arthritis, right? Including rheumatoid arthritis. Very important that as we get older, stay a little bit conscientious about it, so we're not ailing with arthritis as we get older. And if we are ailing with arthritis, what can we do? Well, it's pretty much the same program. You just do a little bit more if you have arthritis. And you know, I'm going to also go into pets when we talk about this too. So we're a little bit on the dogs, like hip dysplasia, and dogs get arthritis too, right? I'm going to start it off with what I believe to be a really good product for rebuilding the actual collagen structure. Are the quiches in the oven? Yes. 10-4. Thank you. Did you set the timer for 30? Timers for 30, thank you. And I love hydrolyzed collagen. I love it. But there's one thing I demand in a product, because we do vitamin formulation, product formulation. We actually formulate. We're not a health food store that just buys our stuff. We actually work with our partners in formulation, buying the ingredients from step A to completion on the shelf. We're there. And hydrolyzed collagen is huge. This is the one thing I demand in our hydrolyzed collagen, our collagen product. It must be made from cartilage. That's a given. We have looked at different types of collagen products throughout the years, and some of them just don't meet up. Let me give you an example. Bone collagen. Bone collagen is highly toxic. It has heavy metals. Let me give you an example, heavy metal wise, to kind of parallel what happens in the human body. They can go to the ocean floor and get fossilized tuna vertebrae from tuna from thousands of years ago, and do a toxicology report on heavy metals or toxins within that fossilized bone. And what they have shown is that the mercury levels in tuna were the same 10,000 years ago as they are now. same mercury levels. So tuna is just one of the animals, the fish that collects mercury. For some reason, their systems collect a little bit of mercury and it shows up in the bones. Well, you got to cut, I'm going to name two, I'm going to keep this real easy, simple. You got two places where heavy metals and toxins show up in humans. One of them is too invasive for testing. One of them is the hair, the one that's too invasive, bone. And you cannot clean up bone collagen. So especially if you've had cancer or a disease, stay away from bone collagen, or what they call bone broth collagen. Stay away from that type of collagen because it's full of toxins. That's like a safety mechanism for us to pack away within a collagen matrix toxins and poisons. We have another place that also packs them away, which is the fatty tissue of the body. But the bones and the hair, as far as expelling, you can actually measure your mercury, your arsenic, your lead, your cadmium, everything under the sun. You can measure it within your hair. And within your bone, of course, it's just stored from now on. Now in cattle and pigs, where they make the bone broth collagen, it's just heavy metals and toxins being stored away for their entire lifetime. And then, of course, arsenic from fence post. And who uses what would be called a 100% USDA certified bone to make the, nobody does. So one of the most toxic substances and ripoffs in the collagen industry, bone broth. Okay, now ours is HPLC tested, which is another reason, high pressure liquid chromatography tested, which goes to 100 parts per million. I mean, yeah, 100 parts per million, and tested non-existent for 0 toxins. So this is the most, it's the best way to test anything, high pressure liquid chromatography, and it says it right on the bottle for collagen. You can't do that with bone collagen. It'll test out with all kinds of poisons and toxins in it. There's Dr. J.D. Wallach. Y'all remember him, Dr. J.D. Wallach. He did a book and a cassette tape a long time ago called Dead Doctors Don't Lie. He had a cassette tape and a little pamphlet thing. And of course, he was a medical doctor, a veterinarian doctor, and a veterinarian surgeon, and he's still around. And he was the first one to elaborate on the beginning of arthritis in the human body. It is a mineral deficiency, namely calcium. So calcium being the deficiency to the beginning of arthritis, a degenerative cycle that causes all the problems. So if I take a calcium in arthritis, then I want to make sure that it's a microcrystalline form of calcium, microcrystalline hydroxyapatite calcium, calcium plus minerals, along with microcrystalline phosphorus. You cannot build joints and bones without phosphorus. This is one that they don't talk about because phosphorus will be very, very expensive to add in on a supplement if they're not using the correct calcium. If you're using the correct calcium, the phosphorus is going to come along with it. So the ratio is 1,000 milligrams of microcrystalline hydroxyapatite calcium with 500 milligrams of microcrystalline phosphorus, which is a plant form of mineral, which goes, you know, that's, now we're talking about angstrom. We're talking about mineral particulate that goes against gravity and goes up the plant through the water system of the plant, the blood system of the plant, the chlorophyll. So it's pretty amazing. But this is it. Calcium plus minerals, the only calcium I will take. My family, I will not allow my family and my friends to take anything else. You know, if I know somebody good enough and they can tolerate me, I'll tell anybody, don't take anything else but, because the other stuff is gonna wipe out your body. No two ways about it. In an effort to build bone, we've learned a little bit about it in the category of something that we can add in as far as, like, say, take for instance minerals or trace minerals. And what we learned was that, of course, silica enhances the absorption and builds bone a little bit stronger than without it. So silica, and the best form, the most bioavailable, easy to assimilate form of silica is bamboo. Bamboo Silica. This is the only silica I will take. I will take no other. This is purely plant-based silica. Are you noticing I'm talking about plant-based minerals right here, right now? See, this is vegetarian, vegan. This is vegan approved. Vegan, not vegetarian. Black belt, vegan approved. This source is plants. Calcium from plants. Also on the forefront of, now we're still talking about arthritis. This could be applicable to osteoarthritis and also rheumatoid arthritis, because in rheumatoid arthritis, a little bit of that can easily be osteo, also foundationally be osteo too, you know what I mean? So, hormonally speaking, when it comes to both men and women, vitamin D. So we know about vitamin D. Of course, we want it to be D3, and we also want it to be a pharmaceutically tested D3, Body Science D3. Now, D3 itself does not help build bone. It does zero for the bones. And I've had a few people try to correct me on that, and then of course I try to show them the science so they can understand where I'm coming from. But D3 is a producer of a hormone called an osteoblast, B-L-A-S-T, which pushes calcium into the bones. So, now I'm not talking about D2 either. You know, like the pharmaceutical industry pushes D2, which is a synthesized version, and they go all the way up to 50,000 units because it's hard for the body to recognize D2, which is what, you know, the big box stores and pharmacies sell, and what doctors tell you to take. They tell you to take D2. And if they use D, they'll use like 50,000 units a week of D2. It's like not making sense. Let me give you another one. And I'm talking about healing the body too, you know, and if somebody even has osteopenia or osteoporosis, this is a really good protocol. But this is something that can be added, and this one actually goes right into the pain. MSM. And again, this is pharmaceutical grade pure, 100% pure MSM. Most of the industry uses what is considered a livestock grade on people, which contains heavy metals. We do not. I'm very, very specific on this. This is the cleanest MSM available on the market in Body Science. It's a form of organic sulfur. It's an essential nutrient for building collagen. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. It's a natural blood vessel dilator, increasing blood circulation. And it's a natural pain reliever. On top of being a natural anti-inflammatory, it's a natural pain reliever, breaking off transmissions from nerves to pain receptors in the brain and doing it naturally, a simple sulfur. This is a sulfur that used to be highly abundant in the topsoil of America, but sulfurs readily erode, wash out with rain, and if something is like not done ecologically friendly in farming, then you just don't have sulfurs anymore. In other words, letting the ground rest and planting cover crops like alfalfa that can shoot roots down as much as 70 feet and bring all these minerals back to the surface and then plow them back in. You know, and plant a crop every year, I mean every other year or every third year, and cover crop and let cattle walk. You see, we don't do that. Agriculture practice dictates today, even in the organic, the big scam of organic, and we're health food people, right? The big scam of organic produce. They do not do it. The organic stuff is just as void of nutrients as everything else is because they're growing 2 and 3 crops per year on the same soil. They're not using multi-spectrum fertilizers like azomite. So I'm trying to explain to you why we're in the shape we're in with the arthritis and the bone density loss and the inflammation, because all these beautiful minerals that help our bodies stay healthy aren't there anymore. So MSM, and I can tell you this about MSM too. You can hit bowel tolerance with MSM like you can hit bowel tolerance with magnesium or bowel tolerance with vitamin C. In other words, when you start gassing up and getting loose bowels, then you know to back off of it. You know, so I mean, you can take, you know, two times a day. Some people take three times a day, and they start getting this organic sulfur back into the system. It's also an essential nutrient for the building of collagen throughout the body. In other words, it's a must-have to build collagen, and it explains a lot why we're having carpal tunnel and tendonitis and brittle bone disease and osteopenia and osteoporosis, and our cartilage is blowing out, it's eroding fast, and people are having to go for shoulder replacements and hip replacements and knee replacements because there's no MSM in the soil no more. And it gives strength and builds collagen. And again, it's an essential nutrient for building collagen. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. It's a natural blood vessel dilator, increasing blood circulation. And it's a natural pain reliever, breaking off neurotransmissions from nerves to the pain receptors in the brain. So this is pretty awesome. Just to kind of like jump over really quick, for your dogs, we have joint care for dogs that is really easy to use. It's a powder. Take a spoon and just sprinkle it. And as a matter of fact, I think there's a scoop in these containers. But you take a spoon and you just sprinkle it on the food. And this was designed by us. So it's what we give our dogs. Because I don't want our German Shepherds or our Poodle to get hip dysplasia. You know what I mean? I do not want it to happen. Let me tell you something. Let me give you a little bit of information too. A lot of people take glucosamine and chondroitin, which is, it's valid. It's been around forever and it's helped a lot of people. But it's like it's something that by itself it needs help, and I'll explain why. Glucosamine as an amino acid does not rebuild tissues. Glucosamine forms water droplets, carries water droplets full of nutrients into a joint, hydrating the joint, and brings nutrients in for repair factors to get the job done. So glucosamine is a hydrator, so that means it's also a lubricant. That means it's also a volumizer by hydrating, but it needs things like sulfurs. It needs things like collagen, so it can get the job done. It needs things like calcium plus minerals to get the minerals into the joint. There's like, what do we got in this formula anyway? We've got about 15, this is our formula too. We've got about 15 different minerals, trace minerals in this product, including 500 magnesium, 1000 calcium, microcrystalline hydroxyapatite, and 500 microcrystalline phosphorus. So glucosamine, to me, if you take glucosamine by itself, it's like you're all dressed up and nowhere to go. I think it's highly beneficial, but you need other nutrients, and then glucosamine can really go to work. It can really happen, because we're talking about defeating arthritis. We're talking about defeating inflammation, so I may heal. The thing about inflammation, I want to go into inflammation for a minute too. The thing about inflammation is when you have inflammation in a joint, the inflammation itself squeezes, all the tissue swells, right, in inflammation, and it squeezes finite blood vessels, cutting off circulation to that damaged tissue. Further damage is occurring because of the inflammation. If you don't get the inflammation down, it's really hard to heal. It's super hard to heal. So in the inflammation department, you have the MSM, you have the Celadrin, which I take MSM pretty much every day. I take Celadrin every day. I take 1 or 2 curcumin every day. And I stay mobile. My joints are great. I can work hard and not be sore the next day, like my shoulders and my elbow and my hips and my knees are not sore the next day. And I'm thinking, I'm 61 years old, and I work hard. When I say I work hard, I don't mean I go out and trim a shrub or something. Yesterday, Cowboy Jim, one of my really close and good friends, Cowboy Jim, came over to the ranch, and we put in about, oh my goodness, about 2 city blocks in distance. I'm going to give you an estimate, right? About 2 city blocks in distance, we put a fence post in every 8 feet through some little bit of rough area, right? So I'm doing the post hole diggers, and Jim's putting the post in and tamping them in, and we just went right down the line, you know. I mean, we put a load of fence posts in. We got a load more to put in. And so I did all that augering work, cutting through roots and going through really hard ground and the whole works. And I'm not sore at all. I could do it again. I could do it right now. I am not sore at all. And I'm thinking, this is the way it ought to be. It should be this way for everybody all the time, period. And I think we've conceded to a way of thinking that as we get older, you know, okay, I'm sore here and I'm sore there, and you know, and then the doctors will tell you, well, you're getting older. You know, I mean, that's a great one to run to, isn't it? You're getting older. But I ask you, what if they're wrong? What if we can maintain our joints, the health of our joints, the structural integrity? What if we can do all these things? What about that? You know, if we do the right products, it means so much. You know, let me give you a really quick example too. You know, I talked about hydrolyzed collagen made from cartilage. It has the amino acids that make up elastin, which is the flexibility, the ability to stretch and flex. The collagen that comes from bone does not have any elastin amino acids. They're not there. In other words, you're never going to have full healing. So if you do the right product, it just works wonders. It really works. How are we doing on time? Any questions?
Doing good, yeah. Patrick wants to know how your noggin is.
Well, you know, I'm hard-headed, and typical protocol, because I have a skull fracture, and you know, a few of the customers, so a few of our friends have felt my skull and they feel the crack. You can feel the crack. I mean, it's no joke. It's really big. Busted my head wide open, and major hematoma. Peggy and my daughter Kat said that I was incoherent for 2 days, of not making any sense when I talked. I think actually what happened is they were worried about me, and for the first time they were actually listening to what I said. They usually don't ever listen to me, so they were actually listening to what I said, and I probably never make sense maybe. So, but no, just kidding. Atypical protocol would be to bore holes in the skull and insert a needle and pull blood, and I didn't do any of it. I didn't do any staples in the skull stitches. I didn't do any pulling of the blood, and I did 0 medications, and it's quite extensive. It cracks from my forehead to the back of my head, goes down behind my ear, and then there's another V crack that comes halfway down the middle. So it's pretty extensive. And I was in bed for almost 5 weeks. So very seldom did anything for the first 5 weeks, but laid there, and it was really miserable. Nausea, and you know, dizzy, pretty incredible. Shooting pains, major headaches and migraines, the whole works. But I did my supplemental program, and I don't know, what do they call it? Let go, let God. Had just stayed peripherally minded, and I took some really good supplements. I took the nattokinase. We don't use American nattokinase. We get our nattokinase out of Japan, and it's the real thing. It's not the fake stuff they sell in the U.S. And what they developed it to for blood clots from stroke victims in Japan, to dissolve the blood clots in the brain. And stroke victims is what it was actually developed for in the beginning. So that is the product that I use instead of letting them pull blood out of my skull and the whole works. And then I took phosphatidylserine to nourish the brain and get everything firing in the brain so I can have healing and increased circulation. So I did an HPLC tested phosphatidylserine, 100% pure. Did 300 to 600 milligrams a day. I did our enteric-coated molecularly distilled fish oils every day. I did pretty much my regular vitamin program, but I was just very certain to keep my Celadrin going, my MSM going, some curcumin going, just very conscientious. and I had some pretty severe brain swelling for, I'm going to say that first 5 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks, the brain swelling was pretty intense, really intense. So I'm getting back. Yesterday was, I told Cowboy Jim, I told him that this is the longest I've worked since my injury, and I think we ended up working about 6 or 7 hours just nonstop as hard as we could go. And I'm getting better, but this is a long road, and I'm being told by people in the know that this is going to be about 12 months in the healing process. So, you know, kind of an update of what I'm going through, and a show that you can use holistic science, knowledge, applicable to just about anything you can imagine. I mean, we've come so far with everything we're doing, but I also know it's a giant step, you know, not to let them bore holes in your skull and draw blood and give you some Coumadin to dissolve blood clots and put you on pain medications and sleeping pills to kill the pain of the headache and let you sleep. And it's kind of a big step not to do it, but of course I did it in 1991 when I had terminal cancer, and I walked away, and I had tumors from my groin all the way up to my neck, you know, tumors, solid tumors, and you know, zero survivability with chemo or without chemo, zero survivability. My oncologist called up hospice, said hospice is going to meet you at the house, and it was like wow time. And I'm just like, you know, I'm keeping my eyes on Jesus and healing, and this is, you know, if I leave Earth, I leave Earth, but I'm going wide open, totally committed, the holistic route. It's just, you know, to each his own, right? I'm not saying for you to do what I do, but I'm saying to each his own. And thank God we live in a country where we can still make that decision on the route that we take. I hope it stays that way. You know, they've got some bills coming up now with vaccinations where it's going to be mandatory vaccinations. I mean, you know, it's in legislature. They got like government offices and government people and school systems and kids, and you know, they're talking about putting people in jail and everything else if you don't take vaccinations. It's just, you know, big pharma really trying to dominate people's lives and dictate, and lawfully speaking, you'll be breaking the law if you don't do it. So I'm hoping that our senators and representatives step up to the plate and just say no to all those millions of dollars big pharma pays all the politicians, and stands up for all of us who want to take that holistic route and, in my opinion, age more, not only more gracefully, but age in a way where we're really active, where our brains are working. You know, I want to say this too, with this really major concussion, like right now I'm having a hard time because my head is really aching because I've been working a little bit. Today I went and harvested about 2,000 pounds of water hyacinth to feed all the hogs at the ranch, and it's just a ton of work. So I shouldn't be doing this stuff. I should not be doing it, but I'm doing it anyway because I'm hard-headed. But I tested myself cognitively, and my memory is good. Even though I'm in all this pain and brain swelling and everything else happening, I'm doing really well on my memory. I'm thinking back, there's no voids. I have no voids. So my recall is like right on. So I feel really blessed. That's the best way to say it. I'm feeling really, 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 really blessed right now. And alrighty, what are we doing on time? Checking the quiches? 25 minutes? They're probably 5 more minutes. The quiches are about 5 more minutes. I want to show you the quiche when it comes out of the oven. I cheated on my headache tonight. Like I'm doing Celadrin and MSM, but brain swelling causes a weird kind of a headache. I would describe it as a headache that literally moves inside your head. If you're gonna, I hope I'm making sense to you, but I have shooting lightning bolt pains here, and then they'll be over here. They'll be in the eye, down the ear, down the neck, but not as bad as a couple of weeks ago where the shooting pains went through my head, down my throat, into my stomach, and I felt like I'm gonna vomit, which is, you know, typical concussion, right? So I'm getting better and better. But I cheated tonight. You know, I'm on my Celadrin, I'm on all my stuff, and tonight I'm dilating some blood vessels with those beautiful attributes of some truly clean, organic Cafe Altura coffee. So I'm drinking some coffee, which means about 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna go to sleep. That's what it means, because I'm real sensitive to caffeine. But it really helped the headache drinking the coffee. I don't know if that's atypical protocol for a concussion or not. And are they almost done?
Oh, I got about 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes? Okay, yeah, they're pretty thick. We put,
You got a lot of good stuff in there.
yeah, 23 eggs and two quiches, 23 eggs. Guess what they'll be serving at the Organic Kitchen tomorrow? I'll give you one guess. Okay, well let me talk for a minute about, okay, say rheumatoid arthritis, or say osteoarthritis, pain and inflammation. Let me give you my favorites. As a matter of fact, let me tell you what I take. How about that? Because I don't want to ever get to the point, degeneratively speaking, where I have arthritis. So you know what they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound to cure. You know, I rearrange that saying. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. You know, a ton, what's a ton? 2,200 pounds, right? 2,200 pounds, if I'm correct, that is 1 ton. So I say an ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. You know, because I'm going to tell you like it is. I don't have arthritis. I do not have it. And I've had people ask me, why do you take MSM and Celadrin and curcumin, BioPerine? Why do you take those 3? I don't take a big dose. I take a small of each, just a little bit. It's a maintenance deal. I take that. I take a little bit of the collagen, the hydrolyzed collagen, every day. I take 2 calcium magnesiums a day. So I won't get osteoporosis. So if I do get hit, my bone doesn't break. You know, I got busted in the head like to kill me, and it didn't even knock me out. I came rolling up in my buggy, our RTV, you know, it's a ranch RTV. I was out, you know, down in the middle of nowhere by myself when it happened, and I could only get half of my body into the RTV, and the other half of my body, I literally drug on the ground. I had 1 foot on the gas pedal. I couldn't even operate my legs. And I show up completely full of blood, pulling up in the driveway with my wife and my daughter staring at me and the 2 grandkids. And I mean, I am not half dead. I'm about halfway dead. And I was never knocked out. And I feel like if I hadn't been taking good supplementation, that pipe that hit me in the head, it probably would have killed me. But I have this really, really good bone density, bone structure, bone density. I use the right collagen, not bone broth, that's junk. I use real hydrolyzed HPLC tested collagen. This is the only HPLC tested collagen on the market in America today. You know why? Because they're all putting garbage in it. It won't qualify as HPLC. So I take all these products to ensure that my prevention program is going to pay off for me. I take the right stuff. On the inflammation, I take, yes?
What's happening when you're in your 60s and you scooch down and have a hard time getting back up? Need Celadrin, question mark?
Yeah, when you go down and you can't get back up again, I tell you, my perfect protocol is this. Instead of taking like a whole bunch of one thing, or take a pretty good bunch of 2 things, I take a little bit of 3 things. I take Celadrin, MSM, and curcumin. That is the best pain relieving anti-inflammatory, natural, dietary supplementally speaking, natural anti-inflammatory program there is. You know, and the curcumin is even scientifically proven as a COX-2 inhibitor on top of all that, without the side effects of COX-2 inhibitors, which will kill you. They'll kill your tail, you know. So those are the big ones, you know, and of course taking a good fish oil, keeping your minerals up is really good. Eating a high protein diet where you keep that muscle density, you know, that's really important. You know, all those things leave you slowly and they rebuild slowly, but if you do the right thing, give yourself an opportunity to rebuild and get back mobile, get back your strength, your agility, your mobility, your ability to go down and get back up off of your knees in a squatting position, whatever, get it back. You know, so what if you're 60 or 70 or 80? You know, about the only thing I can see is going to happen if you do it right, you're going to go slower, and you're not going to be able to do it as many times. But just keep moving. You know, if you don't use it, you lose it. I had somebody ask me a long time ago when they saw me on the Facebook, and I was picking up some really heavy drums, and I mean really heavy, hundreds of pounds, and they said, "Why didn't you roll them?" And I said very simply, if I start rolling them, I'll never be able to pick them up again. You see what I'm saying? It's like if you quit doing something, you lose it. So I'll continue doing things until I can't do it anymore. I mean, age comes soon enough. It comes soon enough. I don't want to lose that ability. I can tell you this too. I mean, even I've been rode hard and put up wet my whole life. I pushed myself to the limits. I've rode hurricane waves, many hurricane waves, not one. I've rode hundreds of hurricane waves, and huge waves, and I've seen 4 people die out on the same waves we were on. 2 different hurricanes, 2 people died. I just push and push and push. And I think if I continue to do that, I'm like a human experiment, right? If I continue to do it, then maybe when I hit my 70s and my 80s, I'll still be trucking. I'll still be lifting and popping holes in the ground and putting in fences and tackling 400-pound. We're getting ready to do some work on some 300 and 400-pound calves. And I'm gonna have to back off a little bit with this concussion, but isn't it kind of nice to know? I mean, last year I was bulldog tackling a 400-pound calf. You know, got my tail tore up and healed right up. But I bull tackled 400-pound calf. You know, try that out. That's a lot of horsepower on the hoof now. And I got drug around, beat up, rolled over the top of, and everything else. But we got him down, and we did our work on him and let him go, and everything was good. What if we can do these kind of things when we're in our 70s and when we're in our 80s? You know, I just don't see why not. If I'll do it right, I don't see why not. Now I may be proven wrong, but I'll tell you this: as far as strength and stamina, because of supplementation and correct diet, that if I was out there surfing right now and a hurricane hits and we end up with some 15 and 20-foot waves, I would think not 1 second about. I would go. I would be out there in a heartbeat to ride some monster waves. Maybe this is the way it should be. Maybe the American Medical Association, always telling us, well, you're getting old. Well, you're getting old, is really just an excuse because they don't know what to do to get us back mobile and get the inflammation down and get the healing going and make us healthy again. It's a lot easier to give you some prescription medications, let your body degenerate, and then tell you you're getting old. Face it. I'm saying, you know what I say? You're getting old. Use your head. Get mobile again. Eat right. Take some supplementation that actually works. Very important. Well, let me just recap the inflammation pain thing real quick for you, okay? Celadrin. Our Celadrin is the best lab tested, high pressure liquid chromatography tested, above pharmaceutical grade Celadrin available. Our MSM, same thing. The cleanest organic sulfur on the market. Our curcumin is a decade ahead of all curcumin on the market. I saw a deal on YouTube the other day. They're doing soft gel liquid curcumin, saying that it's oil based. What these curcuminoids, right? What a crock! What a crock! But what do? You know, freedom of speech, right? The main thing with curcumin, it should have a phospholipid complex so it does not reglobulize. If it's in an oil-based oil curcumin, it's already reglobulized. In other words, it's already globuled together, stuck together, glued together. You're not even going to absorb a fraction of it, okay? If it's in a soft gel, curcumin should be dry. It should have a phospholipid complex that keeps all that particulate from coming back together, phospholipid complex, and it should have BioPerine to open up the receptors and make it easy to assimilate. All curcumin in the future will have BioPerine. All CoQ10 in the future will have BioPerine. It's imperative that you have BioPerine. I mean, we got the science, why not have the best assimilator, the best nutrient receptor activator in your supplementation? You know, another really good thing about it is if you take curcumin with BioPerine, and like I take my CoQ10, my curcumin BioPerine, I don't take much, I only take 1 and 2 a day. That's it. But if I've got BioPerine in it, then it opens up the receptors for my vitamin D, my vitamin A, my vitamin C, my mineral. It opens up the receptors for everything you just took. As a matter of fact, the BioPerine was made popular, even though it's a natural product that's extracted from black pepper. The BioPerine was first utilized by the pharmaceutical industry in prescription medications that the body rejected. They could not get this stuff to load into the system. In other words, they would give it to the person, then take a blood test, and there was nothing in the blood. The body completely rejected the medication. They put the BioPerine in it. Here's this toxic medication. They put BioPerine in it, and all of a sudden it's in the blood. It opens up the receptors. All of a sudden, it's in the person, going into the cells. And so I was like, you know what? The health food industry really needs to learn from BioPerine. But see, the thing is people are so tight that in the health food industry, BioPerine costs more than the bulk product of, you know, like the curcumin or the CoQ10. BioPerine is more expensive than those. So they don't want it to cut in on their profits. Now what we did is we bit the bullet on the curcumin. When we added the BioPerine to the curcumin, we did not increase the price. So the most popular curcumin on the market, we're at 1/3 the cost, with about 4 to 5 to 6 times enhanced ability to absorb into the system. You know, it's just, we made it affordable. That's what we did. We just made it affordable. Let me give you one more. Fish oils are really, really important. EPA and DHA, they're important for your joints, arthritis. They're a lubricant, they're a repair factor on the myelin sheath of the nerves. I mean, the story goes on and on with fish oils. There's a lot of unscrupulous people out there that have stolen, lied, cheated, and ripped people off selling krill oil. Krill oil is the biggest scam in the health food industry, and the worst part is the so-called authorities on krill oil, they know it's junk because they're not stupid. They know it's garbage, but they'd rather scam you out of your money than sell you something legitimate that's actually going to help you. So, and there's a bunch of them out there selling krill oil. They're just unscrupulous people. Krill oil has the lowest content of EPA and DHA of any omega-3 product on the market in the world. In other words, it's the cheapest, weakest product imaginable. On top of that, it's a waste product from mainly the fish flake industry for making fish flakes to feed aquarium fish. So, you know, heads up on the krill oil. If you're taking krill oil, now, I'm not saying don't take it, I'm just saying take a real omega-3 that's actually going to help you. And krill oil's way overpriced. Krill oil costs pennies to make, and they sell it for big dollars, even more than fish oil, because, you know, it is a waste product. They're just taking a waste product off people's hands. Anyway, oh, we have Happy Fish, molecularly distilled, 100% free of anything. There is absolutely no cadmium, lead, arsenic, mercury, strychnine, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, petroleum distillates. I mean, there's no toxicity at all. Pure omega-3 fatty acids. It's in omega-3 Supreme and Happy Fish. That's real. And I mean, a beautiful, matter of fact, this new batch of Happy Fish we got coming in, we actually went up, my friends, on the potency, higher than it was. It was already the most potent stuff on the market. We just increased it. And it's only going to be a few pennies more, just a few pennies more. And we just increased the potency even higher. I'm always trying to improve, because as we do, our health goes up that ladder of improvement. We go to another level. We defeat illness, and we better what we're doing already. I mean, wouldn't it be great to hit 70 and no arthritis? To hit 80, no arthritis. Everything is just flowing. No pain, no arthritis, no inflammation. Wouldn't it be phenomenal? I mean, at 61, I'm like I was when I was 25. I have zero joint ache. I have none. No inflammation. There. You gonna bring them in?
Yeah. Well, I want to bring one of them in.
Yeah, bring one of them in.
Okay.
Okay, they're gonna bring one of the quiches in that we put together. That only took me about probably, what, 2 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, and I threw those two quiches together. Of course, I had the stuff ready to go. I threw them together, we slid them into the oven, and they're gonna bring one of them in and show it to you what it looks like. But I love the quiche, high protein. I don't mix anything with the eggs. So I got all those beautiful amino acids, a building block of all the 73 trillion cells that make up the human body, and you have that beautiful blood sugar stabilizing effect of those amino acids, and you can grab a piece or two and eat it for breakfast or lunch or dinner or a snack. You just have, so I like making quiches. And I say, real men don't eat quiche. And I'm like, you know, forget you, quiches are good, I don't care who you are. But now we've developed recipes that they're just off the Richter scale. How does it look? She's going all the way around. Oh yeah.
Dun, dun,
Oh yeah.
dun.
This thing blew up.
Swelled up.
Yes. Oh yeah. Hey, can we get a close up of this, please? And this is going to be served tomorrow, by the way. Whoa, that's hot. I'm like, yeah, baby.
Don't dump it on the floor.
But look at the way that the crust is coming out of the pan, and the egg pushes down first, fills in all that spinach, then the egg comes up. After it pushes down, it comes up. So you've got these beautiful layer of egg all mingling with the spinach, and it just blows the crust right out of the tin. Isn't that cool? That's why I like making quiches, right there. 10-4. Alrighty. Well, thank you for tuning in. It's always a privilege to be able to talk to you and share information. God bless you. Be healthy.
Hello, thank you for tuning.
God, that's pretty. That is so pretty.